Welcome to the Homeschool Together podcast. Where one working mom and a stay-at-home dad help you navigate the nuts and bolts of the growing and dynamic world of homeschooling.
With a focus on early learners, like me.
All the ins and outs of building and maintaining your homeschool life.
Homeschool.
Find out tips and tricks to make things like this easier.
I'm reading.
And ultimately, enjoy educating your kids. And what's that last thing?
Have fun together. Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah, you did, sweetie. Good job. Hello and welcome back to Homeschool Together. We hope your summer is treating you nicely. If you have a chance, head on into the show notes and click over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Watch a few videos while you're there and come back to us. Today we are talking about Disney Plus. We're continuing rolling through, plotting through all these various streaming platforms and talking about the various things we can watch and everything, and some of the things that we recommend, some of the things we haven't seen that we're going to be putting onto our show list. If you have a chance and you have watched a show and you'd like to add yourself to the conversation, feel free to do that in the comments or over on the Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Ariel, there's a little girl. She wants to be a veterinarian. She's a doctor, and her name is McStuffins.
Yes. Doc McStuffins. We're starting, as we have with all these episodes, we're starting with preschool. So Doc McStuffins. So this is a show that both of our girls have loved when they were younger. And actually our older daughter will still watch Doc McStuffins at 8. So
she won't admit to it. She's starting to get to that point where it's like, I'm too cool for some shows. And then you see her, she's like, I'm watching
at Grandma's house, and they're all watching Doc McStuffins.
They're all watching Doc McStuffins.
So it's cool because her parents are doctors, and so she actually diagnoses and treats her stuffies that are her patients.
And it's sort of a Toy Story thing where the stuffies come alive.
Yeah, but it's a lot of critical thinking, lots of problem solving. And what I really like about this show is there's just a lot of reassuring messages, right? So she really tackles common fears. Usually the stuffies have some sort of fear about getting a shot or, going to see the doctor or whatever. They have something common, and she
tends to be very medical oriented.
Yeah. And the way that she approaches everything with compassion and the way that she cares for them, it's great modeling behavior for that, of how we can be friendly and, try to help somebody through something that's difficult. And then, there's a lot of great problem solving too. So overall, our kids have really loved this. It's very wholesome, and So Doc McStuffins for your preschoolers if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, put that one on the replay. They'll love that one. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Our kids have watched quite a bit of Mickey Mouse.
This has been going.
Cloodle.
This has been going on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse for forever, right?
Well, the Mickey Mouse Club, and there's been lots of different iterations, but this new version is a totally animated
CGI.
CGI Mickey Mouse Club. Basically, Mickey and his friends, they have to solve some sort of problem, and they have this magnifying glass called Cloodle, and it comes, and the magnifying glass always has different tools and things they can use to solve the problem, and it asks the kids what tool they should use. So I remember listening to them scream at the screen, right? Especially our 4 almost 5-year-old, she really loved this show.
She's a big call and response person.
Yeah, she loved it. So the kids are having to put together what's the right tool that we should use to help their friends and stuff. So it's one of those. This is a little bit more on the annoying scale than some of the others, but because of the Disney of it is very, it still is very charming. But but our daughters have both really loved this one. So again, it's problem solving and modeling behavior.
Next one of the canon princesses, Elena of Avalor. Now, why would you put Elena of Avalor on here and not, who's the other one? She's the little girl, Sophia.
Because Sophia the First, dude. Because I find Sophia the First kind of annoying. I know it. Okay, look.
Isn't Elena of Avalor a spin-off of Sophia, or is Sophia a spin-off of Elena? Isn't she?
I thought
Which one's locked in the locket?
I think Elena's locked in Sophia's locket.
Oh
Okay,
my
anyway.
gosh.
Sophia
We're getting
the
into the canon here. This
Sophia
is like
the
Star
First
Wars
is for
level
like
arguments.
younger kids. And anyway, that one's a little bit more formulaic and annoying. Elena of Avalor I really like because...
I mean, you can graduate up. Like, it's meant for younger kids for Sophia, and then Elena's a little bit
But
more
our
elevated.
kids never connected with Sophia the way they connected with Elena.
That's
like
true.
from the even when our daughters were, when our younger was 3, she was like all about Elena of Avalor. So
That's true.
it's cool because it's a Latina princess, so that's really cool. It incorporates different aspects of Latin culture and traditions and folklore and stuff. But
Well, and there's a guy named Mateo. I always love his.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
He plays the drum thing with doo-doo-doo. He's one of the magician guys.
the reason that I put this one on here is because while not strictly educational, because it is totally fictional, and is a fantasy show with magic and things like that, it has such great messaging about friendship and family relationships and respecting other people's experience and their knowledge and, honesty and fairness. And like Elena is always really driven by a very pure desire to really do the right thing by her family and friends. But she ends up learning from her experiences that, she really needs the people around her to, give her not only knowledge, but that's her source of strength. So
something I always noticed about Elena and also Sophia is the incredible level of music in these shows. Like they're doing dozens of
Elena
shows.
has very good music.
Yeah, they're doing dozens of shows in a season, and there's 7, 8 seasons or whatever, and every single episode has like multiple songs, and they're really good.
Yeah,
like they're just Disney songs, but like
right. This is it's a fun show.
So if you want to have a little bit more music in your life,
I mean, this was before we had Encanto, right? This is what we watched. It had kind of a similar flavor with magic and Latin concepts and things. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, this is one that as parents we never minded to sit down. Like I wouldn't sit down and watch Doc McStuffins. I definitely wouldn't sit down and watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. But if our girls were like, "Hey, come sit down and watch Elena," I'm always up for some Elena because it is good. There's good music, and I just think for that preschool, kindergarten, that positive role model, I think that was enough to recommend that we put it on the list.
No, I agree. Elena's always really good. You can always get the I think there's some spin-off movies as well. I know Sophia has a couple of them as well.
Sophia has spin-off movies. I don't know about Elena or not, but it's a fantastic show.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. We really like it. Next one is a science-oriented one. It'd be called, it's called Among the Stars. So if you have kind of a budding astronaut or somebody who's very interested in space, or if you're doing a space science thing, I don't know if this is necessarily for the younger kids, maybe like the preschoolers or K.
This is more an upper elementary.
Yeah, definitely middle, upper elementary show. A very dramatic show following couple astronauts, but an astronaut on his way up to the space station, talking a lot about the dangers of space flight. So there's that's an ever-present knowledge, like something could go wrong. We're up here and we have to train in case something goes wrong. Very dramatic, and he goes all the way up to the space station, talking about the importance of science, the work that they do up on the space station, how he gets to the space station. This is a little bit older. I think this is when we were still using some of the Russian rockets to get people up there. So it's a little bit older. I think it's 2016 timeframe, something like that. And we weren't using the SpaceX rockets to get the guys up there.
Yeah, this isn't that new.
Yeah.
This one's good because it gives a lot of like technical explanations of what's going on, but it does it all in a manner that they can understand for an upper elementary level. So some of the space documentaries are just that get into the technical specifics are just too much for kids. So that's a really good part about this one.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of space documentaries that are very like high level or more almost academic in the way they portray the information. This felt more like in the life documentary or reality type of show where you're following somebody along. And obviously there's some other people talking about the importance of science, and there's sweeping CGI images of what we plan to do or what we hope to do, but it does follow the astronaut through his life and his training. So it's kind of a window into the life type of documentary. So it has a little bit of a different feel to it, and that might be more appealing to children because a little bit more dramatic in that sense.
Yeah.
Next one we have here is One Strange Rock.
So this is another series. This is a documentary series that is just gorgeously filmed about the strange and wonderful life on Earth. A lot of it is told from the perspective of astronauts who have seen Earth in a way that most people never will see it, and what it's like to live in space and observe, and the perspective that gives them.
It's very famous. If you read, you can do some Google searches on some of the Apollo astronauts, especially the ones that got out to the moon and they got to go around the moon and come back. Very humbling, kind of existential realization about, how fragile and how small the Earth is. Listening to those guys talk about what their experiences are, it's something that most people will never see, but it's almost universal across the board. The guys that got out there and were able to turn around and look at the whole planet. I mean, some of the astronauts who just kind of orbit around as well have the same type of experience. It's very shattering in their way that they approach the world. And it kind of affects them for the rest of their life. So
this one's cool. This one talks about just all kinds of different aspects of the Earth, and it's just super eye-catching. So it talks about not only about like animal life and plants, but also people and culture. I'm actually considering this might be a really good one for us to do as we start our around the world journey and we do our overview kind of initial
as
thing.
Like a start.
Yeah, I was thinking that this might be a really great place to start. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. But if you watch the trailer, it's like gorgeously filmed. So I'm very intrigued by that.
Next one would be Weird But True. I always like weird stuff.
Yeah, so this is based on the National Geographic book series, Weird But True, and there's all kinds of different ones, I think. And then this is for your upper elementary kids. Well, no, probably not. Let's say mid-elementary kids. And then there's a younger show called Weirdest, Bestest, Truest, which is for the really little ones. So you can kind of see what fits with you best. But it's a guy and a girl, and they approach different science topics, and they do it in really funny and engaging ways that just like totally catch our kids. So they're just, everything is all like they do like innovative experiments and things. Cool. And so there's always just something crazy that our kids learn. So anyway, this one's a really fun one. I don't know that I would want to watch it quite as much, but the kids really, it's like right up there. It's like right down the alley of kid humor. It's right there. It's silly. There's weird facts and things, but it's all very educational. So it's a good one from National Geographic.
Absolutely. Next one would be The Secret of the Octopus. I always found, so this is an underwater documentary. I think produced, it's obviously by Nat Geo as well. Obviously Disney Plus, do they own Nat Geo?
Yeah,
did they get it with a deal with like the Fox deal or something?
I don't know. And we should kind of preface, I guess, that there's of course an entire National Geographic section on Disney Plus, and it's all pretty great. Yeah. So we did just kind of pick the things that we thought sounded most interesting, but and things we had seen that we really liked. But yeah, there's an entire Nat Geo section that's got like a plethora of things.
So this is under that Nat Geo banner, and National Geographic is just, stellar, and almost everything they do is just amazing. I believe this is produced by James Cameron, so there's kind of a little bit of his weight behind it. It's an underwater documentary focusing on octopuses. I think octopuses are really, really cool. They're one of the smartest creatures on the planet, just below the dolphins, because so long and thanks for all the fish. And octopuses are right up there. I think the scenes where the divers are interfacing with the octopuses, it brings a level of like, they're very alien looking. Like of all the underwater creatures, I mean, fish and all that type of stuff, this thing kind of crawling around 8 legs, it looks almost alien, right? I mean, you can imagine it. And I think there's a reason why in that movie, Arrival, the floating creatures were octopus-like, right? They're so smart, they're so intelligent. The way they interacted with the divers, it's almost like they're examining the divers along the same as the divers are, looking at the octopuses. So beautiful shots about octopuses, all the different types that are out there, a lot of their lives. The camouflage aspects are just amazing. Watching an octopus try to, like, almost like a Rolodex, flipping through the colors to try to hide himself. It's just very trippy to watch. You're like, is that CGI or is that real? That's real. I can't believe that he could do that. Yeah. So really cool stuff. Really, just dramatic videos of octopuses kind of doing their thing. So if you have an underwater person, if you live near some like tidal pools and things like that, where you get a chance to see some squids and some octopuses, feel free to watch this documentary. It looks beautiful. It's gorgeously filmed, underwater doc.
I like, documentaries that are focused, because we've had a bunch of the seas type documentaries that they cover all different kinds of animals. I think it's cool to like have a focus.
Do a deep dive on a certain animal,
because you don't usually, you'll see like a passing thing about an octopus in some of those other documentaries, but I haven't seen like a ton of attention being given to them.
I've noticed that, whenever we watch an animal documentary, you're right. They kind of jump from animal to animal, and it's really cool. Like I was telling my daughters the other day, I said, there's this really cool shrimp that kills people by snapping at them. It's a mantis shrimp, and it snaps so hard that it actually boils the water at the same temperature as the surface of the sun, just for an instant. It creates these little bubbles, and they're like, really?
It kills people?
No, it kills like other fish.
You said people.
No, I said it. Did I? No,
you said people.
No, it's super small. It's not that big.
Oh, okay. I was what kind of shrimp is this?
Fish. It attacks fish.
Okay.
A little fish and everything. Anyway, so
fish are people.
I pulled up these, like a, I don't know, 6 or 7 minute documentary on it. And they just were like, well, where's the next one? We want to learn more about the mantis shrimp. And then learning about their eyes and their vision, one of the most advanced visions in the world. And it's just wild. And you're right. Doing a deep dive on just a single animal, like doing that kind of, a lot of these documentaries are very shallow, but they're very broad. And this would be nice to kind of, pair with some documentary that kind of does a deep dive on one creature that can be really, really impressive. So, yep. So that one is The Secrets of Octopuses. So
yeah, that's a good one. So the next one we wanted to talk about was a Disney nature documentary called Born in China.
Cool.
And this is one of those documentaries.
It's narrated by Jim from The Office.
That's right. It's a selling point, I think. I'm going to call him Mr. Emily Blunt from now.
Yes, that's the proper name. He would refer himself as that.
Yeah, he would. They're such a cute couple. So this is one of those documentaries where they make stories for the animals, which I think is always more kind of impactful when it's, you're anthropomorphizing them a little bit. But
the OG Meerkats show is kind of
a little bit, right? So there's like a snow leopard who's trying to feed her young, and it's such a harsh environment. And then there's a golden monkey that was cast out of his family, and a giant panda who's taking care of her cub. And so there's some really cool.
They're fictionalizing the drama in order to bring you closer to the animals. I know there's some people who don't like that with the animal documentaries. But I like that because
I like it, and our kids really connect with it because it's a story, right?
It's real life Lion King, right? That type of thing. I mean, that's really what you want, right?
Yeah, it is really good. And so this one, of course, is all animals in China. So I think this is one that we will probably hit up again when we study China next year, as we're doing our Around the World again. So I thought this was a fun one just because our kids love when there's a story involved.
Absolutely.
So,
A Real Bug's Life.
Yeah, so A Bug's Life is one of our... Are you going to do it?
I want to be a beautiful butterfly.
So when we met, this was your favorite Pixar movie.
Well,
and there weren't that many
Pixar movies back then.
At that time. But I remember this was one of the ones that you owned in your DVD collection when we were 21. You were like, I have A Bug's Life. And I'm like, really? That's interesting. So I don't think I'd ever seen it before.
Like red flags are going off.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever seen it before, but you really loved this movie. And so we watched it. Of course, it was great. Our kids
slowly
love it.
Watching me giggle as the caterpillar has the little wings and he flies away.
It is very funny. It's a great movie. So this is a documentary that is all about bugs. And so this is kind of up close and personal. I know one daughter who would love it and another daughter who would hate it. So if your kids like bugs, this gives a super up close view of all kinds of different bugs. It's not overly gross, but there is some, there is, I think, a praying mantis who decapitates another bug. So there's a few things. So there's a fair amount of bug peril, I guess. But if you want to learn
bug on bug violence.
Yes, a lot of bug on bug violence. There's an ant on hot dog violence that we saw that is in part of it when they drop a hot dog and they're showing how the ants start to devour food on the ground. Anyway, it's all about the lives of bugs. It's got lots of fun facts, and you can really learn a lot about them. So if you have a bug loving kiddo, this would be a great one.
Narrated by Zizou from The Last Dragon.
Sisu. That's Zizou.
Yeah, I always thought it was Zizou.
No, I think it's I think that's like the Wes Anderson Secret Life of Steve Zissou, right?
Steve Zissou.
Right. No, this is Sisu. Isn't it Sisu? I'm
Not-
probably not saying this right.
Now I'm thinking about a
From
Wes.
Raya?
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about a Wes Anderson movie that has dragons in it.
Oh, well, that would be weird. Anyway, it's late, everybody. We're sorry. Anyway, Real
That's
Bug's Life.
Aquafina is
Yes, she
not
does.
not the water.
She, right. She narrates it. But it's really cool. So if you like bugs, this would be a great one. And then we have to move on to our social studies category. So the first one is Lost Treasures of Egypt.
This is one of those like Nat Geo's just says, guys, listen, we know there's a deep well to plumb with Egypt and pyramids and all
and
the
there's a
things.
bunch of different National Geographic stuff on Disney. There's like Lost. There's like Treasures of the Pharaoh's Tomb. It's our big King Tut one. There's like several different flooded pyramids of the Nile. There's like a bunch of different.
They you know, they're sort of like they're like a publisher who's just like, guys, we need another good thriller. Just get another thriller in here. Nat Geo's like, we just got to go back to Egypt, make another documentary.
Right.
So this is I think it's got like 5 or 6 seasons, and they have like 7 or
We've
8.
watched a lot of it.
7 or 8 episodes in each one. They're all each an hour long, and they just cover just different aspects of Egypt
But
and
they talk a
ancient
lot
Egypt.
about the archaeologists and
Yeah.
their process and the things that they find, and you're like going through the discovery with them. And
I want to be in the department of like an archaeology department where they're all watching this, like the new episodes come out, and they're just like, oh, that's Hans from Germany. Oh, you know, that's Linda from England, and because the archaeologists they know the cameras are on, and so it really gets like really amped. They're like, this is going to change everything. Oh my gosh.
yeah, there's a lot of
My heart's beating. I can't stop
there's
beating.
a little bit of manufactured drama with these. Totally true. So our advice would be to look through all the episodes.
And pair them with something that you know is interesting to your learner.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Find something that
watched
speaks to you, because there are a lot. We're not suggesting you watch
Yeah,
all of them,
no.
but they are all really good. And if you have a child who is interested at all in archaeology, this is a great series.
They definitely go deep into a lot of the, how do you uncover things? How do you take care of things? How do you remove things? A lot of the technology too, because the big thing kind of evolving in archaeology over the last 10 years is a lot of technology. Laser imaging in rainforests, being able to find ground penetrating radar, being able to find old ruins and things of that nature. A lot of ruins are going, believe it or not, are like locked in water. Like I think we recommended that when we did our ancient civilizations, where we referenced the Kush kingdom that had the underwater. There's some pyramids that are right next to the river, and they actually been flooded with water due to floods. And so in order to get into these tombs, these guys have to dive. So they're in the desert. It's 1,000,000 degrees, and they're putting on wetsuits because the water is only like 50 degrees because it's underneath the ground. Really trippy and interesting, and they really explore that. So yeah, almost every other episode is something unique, something different. If you are doing some around the world stuff, they have ones on Cleopatra, they have ones on Tutankhamun. So if you're looking to target a certain, if you're doing your ancient civilizations and you have someone specific that you're trying to study in a certain time period, especially in Egypt, they're going to have an episode or 2 on that person. So definitely look into that as some media for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a great series, as are also the other series that they have about Tut and stuff. We've watched most of them. Our daughter is very into Egypt, our older daughter. So we've watched a lot of these, and they're basically all good. But this is a good series. So the next one we wanted to talk about is one that we just saw this last year during our Ancient Civilizations study, which was the Lost City of Machu Picchu.
Yeah, I think we watched it there, and we also watched it in our Around the World journey when we were in
I think we watched it twice. Yeah, I know that I've seen it at least once, and it is quite fascinating.
Yeah, it's really fascinating getting into like how they discovered the city, how they uncovered it, what was its meaning, what was its use.
The irrigation. Yeah. Talking about how they cut the steps into the hills and stuff.
It's incredible.
It was really neat.
And to see what it looks like today, where it feels almost like a park on top of a mountain, what it looked like when they first discovered it, it was like overgrown. Nothing looked good. They had to really clean up a bunch of stuff, rebuild a little thing, some portions of it. So really cool documentary. I know it's really hard to get to. It's kind of very remote. So like chances you'll actually get there in your life is, might be one of those bucket list places, but to watch the documentary. Really cool kind of drone fly around videos. Just kind of
It's a beautiful documentary.
puts it in perspective. It's like these people built a city at like 12,000 feet up in the air on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. It's like, I feel nauseous like getting on the roof of my first story of the house, right? Like they're up there and looking down on like sheer cliffs, and they were living up there. Is wild.
Yeah.
Just absolutely wild.
It's a really great documentary. So
really cool. And there's another one as well, and I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but they're looking for like the final resting place city. There's another lost city, Incan city or something like that. That was really good as well. So they pair well together. This one and
look it
another
up
one.
and we can put it in the show notes.
I'll put it in the show notes. We watched that one as well, and that was really cool. Although it kind of left it on like a cliffhanger. It's like they found this thing, but they never really knew what it was or what they speculated on what it was. But it was really cool, like the whole process. And they went into the engineering of the city, how they moved water around, how they built it into the hills. It was really cool. I'll put that one in the show notes as well. That was a really cool episode, and we enjoyed that.
Yeah. I mean, overall, Disney Plus has just such a wealth of information.
To be honest, it's like, I mean, outside of YouTube, it's like the next place I go for any type of documentary that I need for ancient civilizations. It's
or around the world
or
stuff.
around
I mean,
the world
just,
stuff, yeah.
You know, and if you have kids that are into animals and things, if you're not a Disney Plus subscriber yet, and you have a kiddo that's into animal vet, any of that kind of stuff, they have a ton of that stuff on there too.
Oh,
so
the animal vet shows, like that is a thing.
it's and they're really interesting as well. I mean, there's not enough hours in the day to watch all this, but
they have them in different areas. They're like big animal vets. They have
Australian vets.
Yeah, there's like Canadian ones, Alaskan vets.
There's
one
kinds
in
of different...
Hawaii. It's like they have them all over the place. It's wild.
Right. There's a bunch of great stuff there. So yeah, Disney Plus is a wealth of information, but these are just some things that we picked out that we've enjoyed and some things that we read about that we thought looked excellent that we wanted to share with you guys. So stay tuned next week. I think we're going to wrap this up with just one more episode. Matt, you are going to tell us your favorite educational YouTube channels, which I think is going to be really, talk about hard to pare down. This is going to be difficult.
There's a lot, but I'll give you some good ideas.
But it's hard when you go to YouTube because you don't know like what to go for. You don't know if it's like good quality or it's going to be appropriate, just all that stuff. So
the appropriateness one is a difficult one.
That's really
There's been
tough.
so many great YouTube channels where I'm like, if you guys just tone down the sarcasm and some of the jokes and some of the language, man, you guys would be a great, elementary YouTube channel. But yeah, it's hard. Sometimes it's difficult.
Yep. So stay tuned for that, as I think we're going to be wrapping up this media series there. So one more week and stick with us. Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time.
Happy homeschooling!